Okay, in the newest episode of Denim and Leather Podcast, we have a guest, the legendary guitarist and founder of Twisted Sister, one of my musical heroes growing up and still. How are you, JJ? Thank you for accepting.
Thank you for having me. Where are you located right now?
I'm in Macedonia. I was the Macedonian SMF from the Slam Board, if you remember, 20 years ago.
Macedonian SMF.
You remember that?
I do actually. I thought it can't really be from Macedonia, is he?
Who?
I said, oh, he really is from Macedonia.
Yeah, I am, on the Balkans, next to Greece and Bulgaria,
Got it. Yeah, did you see us when we were in Bulgaria?
In Bulgaria, I saw you in Kavarna 2006 with
Right.
Testament and Halloween. And I saw you in Thessaloniki in Greece. I met you in Thessaloniki in Greece in backstage.
That was a great show.
Great show. Yeah, fuck, that was the loudest show ever.
They went crazy in that. I remember that show.
Yeah.
The shows in Greece have always been good. The shows in Bulgaria have been great. Did you go to the show in Sofia? Not in Sofia. In
You played in Lovech.
Lovech.
No, I wasn't there. No.
Yeah, we did two shows in Kavarna and one show in Lovech. Right.
Yeah, one in Kavarna was with Mike Portnoy. I was not on that one, I think.
No, he wasn't on drums with us. Was he?
He was on the second Kavarna, I think.
Second Kavarna one, Portnoy was in the band, so that was 2015. Right?
Yeah. So I was, I'm a huge fan, man. I've been with you backstage at the Sea Festival in close to Graz, in Austria. So I was with you guys backstage on the catering for 2 hours. We were like dining and speaking and talking. It was incredible for me.
I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, of course. JJ, I wanted to ask you first, for our listeners, the beginnings of the music for you. How did you start playing guitar back in the 60s? What was the inspiration and how did you start?
Well, it's a story that's told many times. We saw the Beatles on TV.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I want to do, but I didn't know I was 10 years old, so I didn't know what that meant, but it sounded good, I want to do that. But it wasn't until around 1965, I got an album by a band called the Paul Butterfield Blues Band. And the guitar player was named Mike Bloomfield. And before I had heard of Eric Clapton and before there was Jimi Hendrix, maybe there was Keith Richards, but it was definitely before Hendrix, definitely before Clapton. I heard his playing and I thought, wow, I want to do that. So I became obsessed with playing like him. So that was the beginnings of it. And then I got Albert King and I wanted to sound like him. And then I got Eric Clapton. Blues Breakers, I wanted to sound like that, so that's what started it.
So you were basically grown up not on rock and roll, but on blues more. I mean, you are blues influenced.
Much more blues.
Yeah.
I'm a blues player by nature.
Yeah.
Metal guy.
Yeah, we can see that in your solos. I mean, in Eddie Ojeda and your solos, are more bluesy ones, right?
Yeah, and Eddie. I'm more blues-based. Eddie can do that stuff too, but he's a more technical player than me. I'm more of a free-form player. I just play what I play. Eddie can play the same thing all the time because he's very precise.
You improvise more. You're more like a Jimmy Page or something.
Yeah, maybe. Although Jimmy wrote solos that you could sing. I mean, the solo is a Stairway to Heaven, you could sing. The solo to Good Times, Bad Times, you could sing. Jimmy gets a bad rap about being sloppy, but he wrote solos that you could play and you could remember.
Yeah.
That's a lot better than a lot of the super shredders today that are just playing everywhere on the neck and there's no connection to the song. It's just exercising all over the place. Jimmy played stuff for the song, like Jimi Hendrix did too.
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix wrote guitar solos that apply to the song So I'm old school like that. I like to play a solo that is part of the song.
Yeah, it has more soul to it, more feel. Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a matter of opinion. You know, there's people who love the stupid super shredder guys. I get it. I'm not that. That's not me.
Yeah. There's an interesting story you told many times that you were almost going to Woodstock Festival in '69, but you went to some island, I think, right?
Oh, I was in Bermuda.
Oh, Bermuda. Okay.
I was in Bermuda for the 3 weeks before. Just before I left for Bermuda, I attended a private show at a little club in New York, long gone now, called Longanos, and it was in my neighborhood, and it was a private party, and Eric Clapton played, and Stevie Winwood and Dr. John and the band Free played at that private party. And that was the day before I left for Bermuda. Then I went to Bermuda for 3 weeks, came home, and saw a mountain. Saw Leslie West play his third show or second show ever. And he announced at the show that he couldn't do an encore because he had to go upstate to play a concert. That was Woodstock. And I didn't go because the weather report said it was going to rain all weekend. And I didn't feel like standing in the mud like a lot of people did. I didn't.
Yeah.
Because frankly, all those bands, Sly and 10 Years After and Jimi Hendrix, they all play in New York City anyway, all the time. So it's not like you were going to miss them, you know?
Yeah.
You could every month. 10 Years After played every month. You name it, everybody on Woodstock played in New York City. So you could just go see them in a theater. Yeah. So why sit with 400,000 people?
Yeah. Was it more affordable to see a band back then than now?
Well, tickets are $3, so you tell me. In fact, if you couldn't afford the $3, you could see them all. You could see all those acts. Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, Sly, all of them for $1 in Central Park at the Schaefer Music Festival. $1 and $1.50. Every band that played the Fillmore, where the tickets were $3, $4, and $5, you could see for $1 or $1.50. So if you're asking me, can you afford that? Anybody can afford that.
Yeah, I don't know what was the salary back then in America.
Still $1. It's not. I mean, you were making $200 a week, $100 a week. The show was $1. Yeah. And a train to go to the show was 25 cents. Okay. Yeah. So you could afford it, which is why they were all sold out all the time, because they were $1, $2, $3, and there was free concerts anyway in the park. So I saw the Grateful Dead free in the park. I saw the Jefferson Airplane free in the park. I saw B.B. King free in the park. I saw Traffic free in the park. I saw Spooky Tooth free. They played the Bandshell on 72nd Street. They did free concerts all the time. So if you didn't have $3 or $4, I think the Rolling Stones at the Garden was $6.50.
Oh.
You remember the Beatles played at Shea Stadium was $4.50. So it's a lot different than today.
You saw Beatles back then?
No, I didn't go, but my friends did. I was too young. My parents wouldn't let me go.
I have interesting story. I finished art academy, graduated. My professor in graphic arts, he just finished art academy in Serbia back then, in Yugoslavia, back then. And in the 50s, he split as a 17-year-old in London to work, to draw. And he said, I saw the beginnings of the Beatles before I knew that they will be huge, in the Cavern. They were playing, what was the Cavern or Tavern? What was the place called?
Cavern Club in Liverpool.
Yeah. He saw them in Liverpool, yeah. He saw them like a few times. They were playing covers and stuff, Very interesting. JJ, did you have bands between 69, 70 and forming of Twisted Sister? I mean, Silver Star or, or you just jammed with some people?
I just played with everybody I could find. I wasn't really in a band before then. That's not necessarily true. The only real band I was in was just before Twisted Sister. In the summer of '72, I was in a band that did Allman Brothers covers. Okay. It was a real hippie band, lived in a hippie commune.
Yeah.
And, we played Southern rock a lot of Southern rock stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was it. And then the glam thing hit, you know, like David Bowie, Lou Reed. And I lost my mind. And I went, that's what I want to do.
You loved T-Rex, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Also,
yeah.
also Slade?
Slade, T-Rex, Sweet, all those bands, you know.
Yeah.
But then add to that Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin, you know, and Pink Floyd. You know, you have to add all of it into the mix.
Yeah, when it's very weird when we add the glam rock, the old glam rock, with the heavy metal, hard rock bands. There is the mix where Twisted Sister is, actually.
Yeah, and you know, Bowie, the Ziggy Stardust Bowie version, that was a metal band. They were heavy. Yeah. Mick Ronson was amazing. Mott the Hoople, they were heavy. These were heavy bands. So, and then Slade was a heavy band. You know, they were louder than Deep Purple. They were louder than everybody.
Yeah.
So it all kind of mashed up at the time. 72, 73, you know, Smoke on the Water was a huge hit. Yeah. And then in the United States, we had Grand Funk Railroad. So, you know, the song We're an American Band, that was a big hit in 73. I mean, in the summer of 73, the two biggest hits were Smoke on the Water and We're an American Band. And that was on the radio, the top 40 radio stations.
Yeah, yeah. It was Grand Funk were hit back in. My father used to play in a band in 70 in Yugoslavia, you know, in Socialist Republic, and it was allowed. It was allowed to play rock and roll in Yugoslavia, by the way. So Grand Funk were on the top list also here, you know, back in the 70s, and I have a lot of vinyls, you know, from We're an American Band. I have it from my father, and everything I learned is from that period, you know.
Did you get Iron Butterfly in Agata Vita? You know, that was, so the first show I saw at the Fillmore was Iron Butterfly.
Wow, that's a heavy band.
Yeah, and the opening band was Led Zeppelin.
Wow.
So it was a gospel group, because Bill Graham put weird bills together. So we had a gospel group called Porter's Popular Preachers.
Oh, okay.
And they sang gospel songs like If I Had a Hammer and We Shall Overcome and all that stuff. It was a black gospel group, right? Which is nice. Then Zeppelin came out and played the whole first album. And the album hadn't come out yet.
Whoa.
That was January 28th, 1969. And the Iron Butterfly headline. But I also saw Iron Butterfly 2 months earlier with Canned Heat and the Youngbloods. That was actually the first show I went to at the Fillmore, was to see Iron Butterfly, Canned Heat, and the Youngbloods. And the second show I saw was Johnny Winter and B.B. King. And that was about a month later. And then Butterfly came out and Zeppelin opened up for them.
You were about 17, no?
16 at that point.
16, yeah. I wanted to ask you about something that people still debate online, as I see. So I want to clear it up. Were you auditioning for Kiss, but was it Wicked Lester, or how was it? How was the story?
Well, they were transitioning from Wicked Lester.
Okay.
So where I live in New York City, I was babysitting for a guy who was an attorney, a music business attorney, and his client was a producer named Ron Johnson, who produced the Wicked Lester album. And one day when I was babysitting for his daughter, he said to me, "Are you in a band right now?" Because he would hear me play guitar in the building. And I'd say, "No, I'm looking for a band." He said, "Well, I represent a guy who's producing a band, and the band's called Wicked Lester." So he gave me the phone number of either Gene or the producer. But I made a phone call and I was invited. Well, they came down, Gene and Paul came down to see me play. June 6, 1972. I was playing with a band called Scout at a church social event. Don't ask me why, but they asked me to play with them. So I did. And then Gene and Paul came down and I met them and they invited me to a rehearsal, which I did 3 or 4 times. I jammed with them. And I never heard back. That was it. But they weren't called Kiss. In fact, they told me specifically they were breaking the band up. The band was not going to be called Wicked Lester, and they hadn't figured out yet what it was going to be called. And that was in June of 72. By September of 72, which is just 3 months later, they hired Ace. And at that point, they invited me to the Loft, and I saw them rehearse at the Loft. I saw them actually probably play the very first time they ever played their whole album as Kiss.
Whoa.
With heavy Marshall amplifiers. Yeah. And I sat there and went, wow. So all they had was a bed sheet behind them with the words Kiss written on it.
They still were without makeup, probably.
Yeah, well, they were just rehearsing in a loft, playing for. So they weren't going to wear. But I said, "What's the deal?" And they said, "We're going to wear makeup, but we haven't figured it out yet." So yeah. So
they were going into the glam thing that was.
More like shock rock-ish kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, apparently, so not feminine at all. Not looking not like Sweet, for example, or Motley Crue or Poison or any of that, the LA glam stuff. It was more kabuki theater, like Japanese kabuki theater. Yeah. But they still hadn't, it wasn't until November, I think, when they started to put that stuff on. But they were playing at a club called the Daisy in Amityville, Long Island. And I never went down to the Daisy, so I didn't see them there. But that's what they were doing at the time. Yeah.
So you formed Twisted pretty fast after that, It was,
I auditioned for the band in December. I auditioned for a band called Silver Star.
Silver Star, yeah.
In 1972, in December of 72, Christmas week, as a matter of fact. And they hired me on the spot. They went, "You okay? You're the guy." And so I said, "I live in New York. That you guys are living in Jersey." And they said, "Well, why don't you live here in the house?" There was a house where the band rehearsed, and I was told that one of the guys was moving out. I could take his room, so I moved out of my house in New York City and moved into their house.
And you just changed the name, or
the name was changed because the name Silver Star was not a good name.
Yeah, of course.
And so the name was the singer of that band, Michael, who's, I don't know if he's alive anymore. I really don't. But the singer, the original singer, came up with the name.
Oh, okay.
And we changed it. I always say unofficially it was Valentine's Day 1973. I don't know if that's exactly the day, but it was around then.
Yeah, but it was 73, yeah.
It was February because the band debuted in March or early April. I think April 6th, 73, the band debuted as Twisted Sister.
Yeah. Gigi, when we talk about the old days, I mean the club days where you debuted, often is by a lot of people is said that it's the band with the most live shows, 9,000 or 10,000 shows. It is, just to clear things up, it's like 4 shows a night, right? That's how
the first year was 5 shows a night, 6 nights a week.
Wow, a whole year.
Played 30 full makeup and everything, and every show was different. Every set was different.
Yeah.
So you usually worked in one club for a week, 6 days, and you played 6 days, and you played 5 shows a day. From 9, you went on at 9 to 9:40, 10 to 10:40, 11 to 11:40, 12 to 12:40, 1 to 1:40. And on the weekends, you took a 2-hour break around midnight, and you went on at 9 to 9:40, 10 to 10:40, 11 to 11:40, and then you went on at 2 to 2:40 and 3 to 3:40. So you ended at 4 o'clock in the morning. And that was usually the way the schedule ran.
Yeah.
Some clubs stayed open until 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So we did that schedule of 6 shows a day, of 6 nights a week, 5 shows a day for a year.
Well,
then we cut down to 4 shows a night, 6 days a week. And then 5 days a week, So by the time you finished the 10 years in the bars, we were at, I don't know, 7,000 performances at that point. It's crazy.
it's all recorded. I mean, almost everything recorded in your book, Twisted Business. That I see the cover behind you. I wanted to ask you about the book. Is it everything you wrote down every date back in the day? You remember, like,
as much as we kept a record. There's a record of all the shows.
Yeah.
But the book, just to explain to people, nights versus performances, different discussion.
Yeah.
Nights about 3,000 nights, but we average 3 or 4 shows a day, so that's where you get the number. But I think by the time we left the bar scene, we were at 2,500 nights. I think we averaged 250 nights a year for 10 years. So that's 2,500 nights of rock and roll before we got the record deal. Yeah. And the average amount of shows was 3 shows a night. So we were at about 7,500 performances at the time that the band got record.
Wow. I know I saw a video, because I'm a huge fan, I saw a video of you doing the 2000 performance, like a
and it's only because I came up with that number from nowhere.
No, it was like a 2000 night, probably.
Yeah. I just said, hey, let's just call it 2000 show, because I didn't. There was no basis of fact. That's the truth.
But it's probably like, close.
Let's do something and call it something because it sounds good.
Yeah.
But it was, you have to understand something for people who watch this and are fans of the band. I had 3 more years in before Dee and Eddie. Okay.
Yeah.
So I already played 3,000 performances before they did.
Yeah.
So, but Dee came in, I think it was the 2000th show with Dee. That's what I think it was. I had already been doing it since 73. So however way you want to cut it, it's a lot of shows.
A lot.
A lot of performances.
A lot. Yeah. I mean, even if it's 4,000 or 3,000, it's still up with no other band, No,
I don't know any other band. None. B.B. King said he did 10,000 shows. He may have. He may have. I mean, he played the Chitlin circuit. Those blues guys, played till they died, and they started young. He may have done that many. He may have. I mean, these guys are brilliant players, right? So they may have. But for rock groups, there's not a group alive that has played as much as we have.
Yeah, that's close.
I don't think so.
I heard somewhere that AC/DC is saying that they played 3,000 shows, but
maybe 3,000 nights. Maybe
3,000 nights. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I could believe that.
Yeah.
Because if you look at AC/DC, Judas Priest, Aerosmith, Kiss, we all started the same year, 73.
Yeah.
If you think about it, if you were to ask anybody from Kiss, AC/DC, Aerosmith, Judas Priest, if you asked any of us in 1973 how long we were going to last, what do you think we would have said? 5 years? 10 years? What are we at now? 52 years? We're at 52. We're 51, 52 years in.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
How is the book going, JJ? Is it going well?
Well, the book does well, and I do a lot of keynote speeches because of the book.
Yeah.
I do that. Yeah, I do like motivational speaking.
Motivational.
Which is, you can go to my website, jjfrench.com. You can get the book. You can get a lot of stuff. You can see what's going on YouTube. You can book me there as a speaker. You can email me at askjjts@gmail, which is ask JJJAY, ask JJTS for Twisted Sister or Taylor Swift or Times Square, whatever.
Yeah.
Ask JJTS@gmail if you want to book me. But I travel around the world and do speaking engagements around the world. And I tell the story of Twisted Sister in the speaking engagements.
That is so awesome, because I know you and Dee have both the personality for making motivational speaking. I mean, you are both incredible with vocabulary. You mean we talk
a lot? Is that what you're saying?
I say you are very intelligent and fluent. Both of you.
Well, I said to my daughter years ago that I was going to start doing speaking engagements and getting paid for it, and she said to me, "If you get paid for talking, you're going to be the richest person."
and you are getting paid.
Yeah, I get paid for it. So yeah,
It's incredible book. I have it, and I love it. I love it.
Were you surprised at some of the things that you read in the book?
Well, I don't know. I knew a lot of stuff. I know that somebody found that some dates were missing, but that wasn't that much important, you know.
Yeah, and we added more dates because so there's a second edition. We added another 150 shows.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure we missed some more, you know.
Are you maybe writing another book?
Not right now. I'm thinking of it. I need to live another 100 years, though.
Jay, the success of We're Not Gonna Take It hit you hard like 10 years after the clubs. Is it really the most licensed rock song, as you guys say, of the 80s?
It's the most, as far as I know.
Yeah.
More movies, TV shows, soundtracks, commercials. I mean, we just licensed, Oh Come All Ye Faithful, which is We're Not Gonna Take It from a Christmas record. That's just been licensed for a movie, Christmas movie. I Wanna Rock was licensed for a TV show called Rock the Block. We're Not Gonna Take It it's all over the place, and it's every year.
Yeah. And
it's 40 years since it came out. It came out 40 years ago this month, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
May 10th. So, if you said to me 40 years ago, do I think, do I have any idea that this song was going to be this famous? I think you'd be crazy to say you knew. It was a very good song, but it's hard to imagine what happened with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like to have imagined the enormous success. But I've asked record labels and I've asked publishing companies because when I made that statement, it's the most licensed song of the 80s. I didn't want to make it and not be true.
Yeah.
And I was told by the people at Universal Music, which is the world's biggest publishing company, they have the song. And I said, is there any other metal song that's been licensed more than us for commercials and TV shows? And they said, no, we're the most. So that's what I'm telling you. That's what they told me.
Yeah. It's I want to say it's the song is bigger. I mean, Twisted Sister maybe is not biggest selling like in the 80s like a band, but the song is bigger than a lot of 80s bands that are bigger,
Yeah, the song is known around the world.
Yeah.
If you take a 10-year-old kid and you say to him, sing me a Judas Priest song, an Aerosmith song, an AC/DC song, Kiss song, he won't sing it. But if you say, sing We're Not Gonna Take It, the kid's going to go,
yeah.
Let's take it.
Right on, yeah.
So Dee and I had a discussion about this years ago, that we wanted to promote the song to be used by anybody, anywhere. Independent filmmakers, you know how some artists say, I don't prostitute my music, or some artists say, you have to pay me $1 billion to use it. And we say, you're idiots.
Yeah.
Every day, 100,000 songs get added into the world. You need to keep your song out there.
Yeah.
We make sure independent filmmakers can get a good deal from us. So we get the big money from the big corporations, and we foster reuse for young filmmakers, TV shows, whatever. We make it as easy as possible to use the song.
Yeah. And also with I Wanna Rock, or no?
Yeah, with I Wanna Rock. I mean, I Wanna Rock was the Super Bowl commercial for 2020 Super Bowl was the last 2 minutes. They did I Wanna Rock. I think, was it the Discover card last year? No, that was We're Not Gonna Take It. Rachel Ray's Dog Food. But Rock the Block, which is a reality show based on home renovations, they just licensed I Wanna Rock.
Yeah.
So it's both of those songs. Yeah. We're Not Gonna Take It a bit more, but both of them together are unbelievable. I have a list of all the licenses. It's just, you go through it and you can't believe.
Incredible.
We did 40 corporations have licensed it as their theme. It's pretty amazing.
Wow. It's incredible. Maybe do you think which hit of Twisted Sister is the third one right after those two?
Well, no, because you mean in terms of how a fan would say what's their favorite song?
I don't know which one was like the biggest on on the top 10 or top 50 or top 100?
If I look at my sound exchange numbers, radio play, it's We're Not Gonna Take It, I Want to Rock, The Price, Can't Stop Rock and Roll is up there. Heart Furia is up there from Stay Hungry. Come Out and Play. Almost nothing from Love Is for Suckers is ever on the list. Almost. But certainly Shoot 'Em Down, Under the Blade. You know, it's always, ask any of these bands, it's always the first 5 albums, isn't it? First 4 albums. And then when you go, here's a song from our new record, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. They want to hear the songs from your first 5 albums. You know, if AC/DC played a concert and they just played songs from their first 5 albums, I'd be a happy guy. You know, that's all. Like, you know, up to For Those About to Rock. After that, I don't need to hear it, you know, but it doesn't matter because I'm a huge AC/DC fan. Love them. Love them, love them, love them, love them. But I think most people want to hear from the first 5 albums. Most people want to hear Judas Priest first 5 albums. Most people want to hear Metallica first 5 albums. That just is the way it goes. It has nothing to do with whether or not the songs are not good or anything. It's just the way fans treat nostalgia. You know, that's all. If you go, here's a song from our new record, they'll go to the bathroom. Or they'll go buy some food or something, you know, or they'll tolerate it until you get to the original stuff. All these bands, even if you go out there thinking the fans want to hear it, they don't particularly want to hear it. So you fool yourself into thinking they do, and they really don't hear. And by the way, I'm not saying that's a good thing either. I'm just saying that's just the reality of it. You know, when you see us, we play 17 songs and we know you know. That's the whole reason why we're successful. Like, you come to see Twisted Sister, those 17 songs, you know every one of them. And we play them like exactly on the record because that's what you want to hear. I'm an entertainer. I want to give you what you want to hear. I think if I reinterpret it, add a jam session in it, you know, whatever, it's not the same thing. That's just my opinion. Every band has their own way of dealing with this stuff, especially if you have 25 albums. I mean, look, Kiss, Metallica, they have a lot of albums. You know, AC/DC, it's got to be tough. We don't. You know, we have the 5 studio albums and the Christmas album. That's basically what we have. So we don't have to worry about, damn it, you know, what's that really deep song on our 8th album? Well, we don't have to worry about that. But, you know, Kiss does. They got, you know, 25 albums out, right? I think something like that. Metallica's got a lot of stuff. I mean, these bands, that's the difference with a lot of these bands. They continue to put a lot of stuff out. We didn't. You know, Aerosmith has a million albums out. But I love them. I mean, I think Aerosmith is fantastic. Judas Priest is fantastic. Motorhead's fantastic. We play with these bands all the time, and they're great. They're great bands. They're incredible.
Yeah, I know you headlined with them together, and it's incredible.
Yeah, all over the world. All over the world. Slayer, we headlined. It was like co-headline.
I was there. I was there when you headlined with Slayer in Austria together. It was incredible.
Right, and a lot of heavy fans who don't know the band are surprised to think that Twisted Sister could headline, but live, it's a different thing, isn't it? Completely different. And we wind up getting all those Slayer fans singing. We're not going to take it. I want to rock. You know?
I have a friend who was in Belgium. I think it was Graspop, maybe. He said Twisted were playing, and then Iron Maiden, or it was the other way around. I don't know. But people finished with We're Not Gonna Take It, and Twisted was gone, and they were still singing We're Not Gonna Take It like for 15 minutes. Not chanting Iron Maiden, but chanting We're Not Gonna Take It. It was incredible.
Yeah, that happens very often.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for the other bands we play with because they have to endure our fans doing it. I won't mention bands' names, but I can tell you that some very famous bands have said that they don't want to go on after us because the fans are doing that. So they'll say to us, "Can you close, please?" Just because we don't want to do that. And by the way, I'm only saying it because that happened. I'm not saying it because the bands aren't great, but it's gratifying to know that bands do that. All they do is keep singing. We're not going to take it. We're not going to take it in between other bands' sets.
Yeah.
It's got to be nerve-wracking for them, you know, Meanwhile, I don't think we have ever played a show where another band's music is sung by the fans in between our song.
Yeah.
You know, and Blabbermouth is going to like get this, you know, and make some snarky comment about it. So I'm going to be really clear about this. We play with great bands, and our job is to go out there and do the best show we can. And if we do a great show and the fans appreciate it and they sing our songs into the next set, well, that's just the way it is, you know? And we just did our job. And I always say, if you're better than us, blow us off the stage. You know, blow us off the stage. Take all the lights, take the PA. If you think you can kick our ass, man.
Yeah,
you know?
like try it, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm saying you do that, you put on the best show you can put on, and the fans benefit from that show. So I want the fans to come out and go, wow. Because most people who maybe listen to this don't know, but there's only a few bands in this world that can play in front of 100,000 people, where the promoter trusts the band to make sure that the fan walks out going, that was the best festival I ever went to. It's a big responsibility. It's a big responsibility. So who has that responsibility? Kiss has that responsibility. Iron Maiden has that responsibility. Judas Priest has that responsibility.
Metallica, probably.
Metallica, Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
You know, that's a heavy responsibility. The promoter's basically saying, I'm giving you 100,000 people. You better make them happy.
Yeah.
Right? So our job is to make them happy.
And you did it a lot of years. Year and a year, yeah.
You're professional in doing that. You know, and that's what we do. So when people say to me, what is your show like? I say, we're a performance band.
Yeah.
And our show is to perform and make you as a fan say, wow, that was worth coming to see. That's all. You know, has nothing to do with who's better, blah, blah, blah. It has to do with giving people their money's worth. And the promoter walking backstage and going, thank you for making my festival so successful. That's what brings us the most pride.
I was backstage, as I told you, in Austria. I mean, I was backstage and side stage, saw you. You were playing, and then Slayer were playing. And I heard the promoter when he told you it should have been the other way around. I heard that.
Listen, if I say it, I sound like some egotistical asshole. I don't want to say it. Thank you for saying it.
I heard it.
That conversation has taken place many times. and we just, you know what we say? Fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. You know, it's great. I have to tell you, one time we were playing with ZZ Top, and, you know, they're older, much older than we are. And they were headlining above us. So that meant we went on at 8 o'clock. They went on at 10 o'clock and finished at midnight.
Yeah.
I think they came to us and said, would you guys mind closing? And I don't think they did that because of the reaction. ZZ Top's another fabulous band, right? I think Billy just wanted to go to bed. I think he probably said 8 o'clock, I'll be done at 10. I'll be in bed by 11, you know? And so, because, you know, especially in Europe and in some of the countries, the shows go very late. The headliners go on at midnight. In Spain, the headliners go on at, 2 in the morning.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's not fun. I don't care how many people are out there. That's not fun.
Yeah, true. I've been to many European festivals, and it is like that, like you say, And I saw Twisted 5 times, so every time was incredible. JJ, do you plan? Maybe did you plan? I don't know now, but did you plan back in the day, or back in the recent years, to release a solo album, or it's not your thing?
Not my thing.
You never thought of it?
I just played a show in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Jazz Fest. Because a friend asked me if I would play guitar in a blues band.
Okay.
My drummer that night was the drummer for the Rolling Stones, Steve Jordan.
Whoa.
And so me and Steve Jordan were these phenomenal Nolans blues guys. Played a month ago. Played the Jazz Fest. And I haven't been on stage really since the band retired, 2016. Yeah. And I did it as a favor to this friend of mine. And I said, you know what? I'll do it. And I thought maybe I shouldn't do it, but I did it. And I had the most fun.
You felt great, right?
I'm sorry?
You felt great.
Felt great. But I was playing blues.
Yeah.
What to do, and I didn't have to run around on stage. You know, I didn't have to be J.J. French. I could just stand there and play blues, and I had an absolutely fantastic.
Was it for a couple of songs or a whole set?
Did a whole set.
Awesome.
Yeah,
maybe we can find it online or no?
We may be able to. The band was called the Devell Crawford Band. DAVELLCRAWFORD. Devell Crawford.
Okay.
Featuring J.J. French and Steve Jordan.
Okay, I will find it.
At New Orleans Jazz Fest, and it was in May. And I had an amazing time. I said to my friend, one of my best friends is a bass player who's also a producer, and he produced Joe Bonamassa's records. And I said, let's put a blues band together and make a record. So next week we're going to a studio and start messing around.
So you maybe will do something.
Blues thing, yeah, I may.
But I thought solo album, but not heavy metal. Maybe blues, maybe rock.
No,
maybe
it's not heavy metal. No, it's just blues.
Yeah. Where the heavy metal has the roots in the blues, so that's about it, you know.
Well, yes, traditionally heavy metal has its roots in the blues. So if you look at, Sabbath and Zeppelin do not sound the same.
Yeah.
Zeppelin is definitely a blues band. Sabbath not necessarily a blues band, although all those guys played in blues bands.
Yeah, but Sabbath was called Earth before that, right? It was.
Yeah, I think so. So I think Pink Floyd was a blues band. You know that, right? In the very, very, very beginning of Pink Floyd, they were named after two blues musicians. It was Pink Anderson and Floyd Council.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so those are the two guys' names, Pink Anderson and Floyd Council. And Syd Barrett was a blues guitar player. Hard to believe, right?
Whoa.
Hard to believe. They started out. Now I don't know how many shows they played before they became a psychedelic band. I don't know if that flipped in the first 2 weeks, but they were named after two blues guys.
Pink Floyd before they released the solo. The debut.
The Gates of Dawn.
Yeah.
Before Pipe of the Gates.
Yeah, I heard that about Black Sabbath also. They were called Earth. They were playing blues and then changed it,
Yeah, that was 68, around there. I think Sabbath's debut album came out in 69, maybe?
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
So maybe they were blues. But all those British guys, they all went through the same, Alex Corner, John Mayall, they all went through the same group of musicians.
Yeah.
Studio guys, they all went through that portal of artists. John Baldry went through there. Mick Fleetwood went through there. John McVie went through there. Jeff Beck went through there. Eric Clapton went through there. Ronnie Wood went through there. They all went through that world of blues. And the thing was that the Beatles didn't. The Beatles were never a blues band. They were a rock and roll band. That's a big difference. The Beatles were the only band to ever go from rock and roll to pop to rock. If you think about it, they wore three separate hats. The Rolling Stones were always a blues band. They had pop records, but they were always a blues band. They were never anything but a blues band. And Led Zeppelin was a blues band, and Jimmy Page was one of the best studio musicians in the history of England, on thousands of records.
You love Led Zeppelin?
I saw them many, many times.
Were you a fan back in the day?
I was a huge fan of Led Zeppelin. I got tired of hearing them because it was playing so much of it, and we played so much Zeppelin. So I got kind of bored with it, but it doesn't take away from the fact that I saw them play the first album at the Fillmore East in '69, and then 5 months later they came back and played the whole second album. And I saw that show, and that show was the Woody Herman Orchestra. Woody Herman Jazz Orchestra opened for Led Zeppelin. Think about that for a second. I have a poster of Woody Herman and his clarinet and Led Zeppelin. Very weird, right? Very weird.
Yeah.
Then I saw them 4 times in 1969. And then in 72, I saw Zepp 4. I saw them play the whole Zepp, pretty much all that. And then I saw them in 75. I saw them in 77.
Oh, 77 was the Kashmir, right?
Yeah, and then I saw them at the Atlantic Records reunion, which was not good. That was pretty bad. But you know, we lived at Jimmy Page's house for 3 months making Can't Stop.
You recorded the second album there, yeah.
That was cool because all the master tapes were there, and they were mastering Coda, the album Coda at the time.
Yeah.
So the Jimmy's engineer, Stu Epps, who was our producer, and they had all the 2-inch tapes, you know, Communications Breakdown, Whole Lot of Love, Black Dog. They're all there in the studio, all the 2-inch. You know, we're touching the boxes like Jews at the wheel. Like, we're touching the boxes. Oh, this is Jimmy Page. He never showed up. He got busted for heroin.
He never showed up at your recording?
Came down because he got arrested for heroin possession. During that, so it's a well-known story. I met Jimmy years later, and I had dinner with Robert Plant, and we talked about the fact that I had seen Zeppelin in '69, and he told me that he saw Twisted Sister in '73. That him and Bonzo walked into a bar in Long Island.
Really?
And I had heard rumors to that effect. In '73, someone said to me, "We're in the Hamptons. That's not an impossible thought in the Hamptons. Summertime." They were staying at Bad Company's road crew. That's the story that I had heard. Not implausible, not impossible, but I never saw them. And then he admitted that him and Bonzo walked into a club in the Hamptons and saw 2 blokes kissing on stage, and that was me and the original lead singer. That was part of the whole gimmick. we were chained together, and we used to kiss the Bowie medley, and the girls went crazy, and that's how we got laid.
So they saw the show.
So Robert said these 2 blokes were kissing, and he walked out. I said, that was me.
Someone said, I think Dee Snider said that Robert Plant used to learn how to make simple hard rock songs in the 80s from You Can't Stop Rock and Roll record.
Oh, maybe.
I mean the producers who made him the music in the 80s were making him listen to Twisted Sister, how to make a hit song. I heard Dee said that, you know.
Interesting. I mean, he just texted me this morning because he just saw Ozzy yesterday walking out of a doctor's office, and he said, "Man, it's Ozzy," and you know. And so he tweeted it or something, and then I texted him. I said, "How did he look?" And he goes, "Oh, you know, he wants to try to do one more show, whatever." That was this afternoon. So
awesome. There are some rumors. I mean, maybe are not rumors that Twisted might get back. You know, if you got an offer, if you get a big offer, is it true?
We did, and thought about it and decided not to.
Yeah, but you did the offer that.
A bunch of offers.
Yeah.
And thought about it. Here's how I see it. Is my opinion. You saw the band. You've seen the band a number of times, right?
Yeah.
And the band was always perfect, right?
Yeah.
Always 100%.
Yeah.
Right? Not every band can say that. I think that's fair to say.
Yep.
We have a level of pride as to how we can put on the show. I don't know if I can do that anymore. I don't know if physically I can do that. And that's a real issue. Can we be as great as we've always been? And if we can't, what's the point? So, you know, I mean, physically, I played Jazz Fest, which is the first show I played in 7 years. I stood on stage totally just stand there, 45 minutes. Could I run around for 2 hours? I don't know. I don't think so. And it's never been about the money. People think it's cynical. Oh, it's always the money. It's never the money. The money's great, but I have a reputation. Nobody, if you don't like Twisted Sister, you can say you don't like us, but you can't say that we didn't deliver a great show. Yeah. You may go, I hate that band. I think they look like this, or I don't know, they talk too much. But you can't go, they bombed, because it never happened.
Yeah.
You know, never happened. I don't ever want it to happen. So I don't know. You know, I don't know. My lower back, I wore high heels for 10 years. I jumped off drum platforms. I compressed my spine. I mean, look, Mick Mars has physical disabilities, right? He's got physical. we're not that. But I'm not 50 years old anymore. You know, I'm 72, and it matters. Now, Keith Richards, God bless him. But Mick is doing the heavy lifting. Mick is running around, you know, and he can still do it. And Keith doesn't have to do that. And God bless him that he can. I'd say most of the guys who are like in their late 60s can still do it. I'm 72. I feel it every morning. My body aches every morning.
He's 69, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He still can run around, I think, maybe for an hour and a half.
Yeah, he does 3 songs with Bret Michaels.
Yeah?
Yeah, 3 songs.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't speak for him. I have no idea. I don't want to speak for anybody. I don't want to speak for anybody else.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm not. I don't think I could ever do it again. You know, I mean, it may happen. I used to say never, and it did come back. So I'm not going to say never. But we looked at the offers, and I just said I physically can't do it. Not now, anyway. Not the way I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about the Pink Burst project. I just saw a few days ago that interview from you and Norman, the guy. I think the Norman was
Norman was Guitarist. Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw that, and I wanted to ask you about the Pink Burst project. How did that went back in the day when you made it? Did it help the ocular thing? I mean,
the ocular immunology and uveitis.
Yeah.
So my daughter has this disease called
I know, Samantha. Yeah.
Which is a fairly rare eye disease. I wanted to come up with something special to raise money and awareness for uveitis. So I created the Pink Burst Project, which is the only, to my knowledge, the only time ever that 25 guitar and amplifier companies ever joined together on a project. And it raised a lot of money for the hospital. Awesome. I'm really happy about that. And I still kept 2 of the guitars and 1 of the amplifiers, but other than that, they all went auctioned off.
How many pieces were out
25
there?
I think 13 guitars and 12 amplifiers.
How many companies were in there?
It was Gibson, Fender, Gretsch, Rukongas from Finland, because he's a friend of mine, Epiphone, Martin, and Paul Reed Smith. Those are the guitar companies, right?
Yeah,
pretty prestigious, right?
Yeah, of course.
And it was Marshall, Fender, Vox, Orange. Orange made a pink amp. Orange amps.
Oh.
So it's an Orange, Mesa Boogie, right? So we got some really big.
Incredible.
Diamond was a small boutique company. We got them to do it. I think the company that was Sam Ash's Hartke did it. So it was a lot of companies that, and they all wrapped all the amps in pink Tolex. And my friend, who I met, a guy named Harley Hoffman, who actually supplies the Tolex. That's the cover. That's the vinyl cover from all the amplifiers. He made a special run of vinyl cover for all the amplifier companies. Whoa. So they could matched amplifiers.
Incredible.
So it was incredible. Yeah.
Incredible. So it helped the cause and
bring awareness. Most people don't know about uveitis. It's a drug that affects. It's a disease that affects mostly girls, 75%, mostly young girls. And if you get this disease at an early age and you don't diagnose it, you will have permanent eye damage. My daughter was diagnosed at a very early age and she's been treated, but she's 30, she's almost 31, and she's had the disease since she was 6.
Yeah.
But the disease, her eyesight's fine because we caught it early enough. So, so I try to bring awareness to that. Listen, I've had 2 heart operations because of atrial fibrillation, and that was cured. I have prostate cancer 6 years ago. That was pretty much taken care of. So I speak a lot on prostate cancer, bring awareness to prostate cancer. I use my forum to talk about these things because it's important.
Yeah, I know you're not a believer, but I am, so thank God. For me. because I've heard you speak about those kind of stuff. The thing about the Pinkbirds project, I wanted to ask you. You said you're not a religious man, but you met a guy who you met 40 years ago who brought you the. What was that story about? It's a great story.
It was the weirdest thing because I was trying to figure out how to convince Fender to make a guitar that looked like a Gibson. It's a technical issue, but they had to copy certain aspects of a Gibson guitar. And I was trying to explain this to the custom shop guy I met at a NAMM show. Most people don't know what a NAMM show is. It stands for National Association of Music Merchants. It's big, happens twice a year in the world. Big music conventions of music instrument companies. And so the head guy from Fender Custom Shop was there. His name was John Cruz. And I said to him, John, I have this Les Paul that I painted pink years ago. And I'd like you to make a Telecaster where the neck looks like this Les Paul with the trapezoid inlays and binding and the name Fender and Pearl on the black headstock, all the stuff that just Gibson does, and Fender nobody would ever copy the other guitar company. And I said to him, I'm trying to convince all these companies to do this. And he's like, dude, like, what are you saying? Like, dude, what are you saying? I said, if I can get Fender to do it, I can get everybody to do it. All I need is Fender, because Gibson's already going to do it because they're my guitar company. So they're already on board. I said, I need Fender to do it. So at that very moment that I was explaining this to John Cruz in front of the Fender booth at the NAMM show, completely randomly explaining how I got a Gibson Les Paul painted pink by this guy named Steve Carr back in 1977, randomly out of nowhere. I tell him the story that when the guitar came to me, it was delivered to me in the parking lot of a club, and I remember telling the kid to hold the guitar up. And anyway, this guy walks up behind me and he says, you're JJ French, right? I said, yeah. He said, I'm the guy that brought you that Les Paul in the parking lot at the Mad Hatter in Stony Brook, New York.
Incredible.
And I looked at John Cruz. I said, dude, this is not a setup. I haven't seen this kid. Obviously, the kid was 16 back then, right? So now he's like 46. And I said, you work for Steve Carr? He goes, yeah, man. I was an apprentice in his shop. And he told me to bring this guitar to you. And I said, if you're the guy, then tell me exactly what I did. And he said, yeah, man, I came to the parking lot. You walked outside. I opened up the trunk of my car, pull out the guitar. You said, take the guitar out of the case. I took the guitar out of the case. You told me to hold the guitar up. I held the guitar up. You looked at the guitar. You were wearing a ring with a big thing on it. And you smashed a gash in the bottom of the guitar. And I said to you, why did you do that? And you said, well, it's my guitar. I can do whatever the hell I want to do with it. But my singer's probably going to do that in about an hour on stage. So let me get it out of the way. And John Cruz said, you did not set this up. I said, John, I haven't seen this kid since 1977. And John said, I'll do it. He made a Telecaster look like a Les Paul, and then he did a Stratocaster, and he did a Fender Jazz Bass, and he did a Gretsch. All because of that kid. All because of that conversation.
Just to clear things up, NAMM is in LA, right?
In Anaheim, California.
And the guy, I mean, that brought you the guitar, brought you in New York. So
40 years earlier.
Yeah, so unbelievable story.
Unbelievable story. I mean, I still, to this day, I don't quite, the coincidence was ridiculous. Yeah. Because had that not occurred, I don't think John would have, John just thought God must be talking to him. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think John said, okay, if this is what happened, I'll do it. And I still, it's funny, that story that I tell online, if you go to Norm's Rare Guitars, I interviewed Norm last week. He's got 30,000 views already, right? So if you go there and I tell the story, the kid who brought me the guitar saw that interview and he talked about it online. And
wow.
Yeah. So that was a cool interview with Norm. I'd never met Norm before.
Yeah, I saw the interview. It was awesome. Great.
Yeah, you can go online to Norm's Rare Guitars on Facebook or jjfrench.com or me on Facebook, and you'll see the interview with Norm. And I also have a podcast, as you know.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, so it's called the JJ French Connection on Apple and Spotify, and that's doing very well.
I follow with JJ. I listen to every episode.
Did you hear Ricky Medlock's one yet this week? This is the new one from
No,
Skinner.
no, no, still no.
So we had the same booking agent back in 1973. And so we talk about that on the podcast. You know, I go back with Ricky a long, long time. With Blackfoot.
Yeah, with Blackfoot, yeah.
And then Mark Mendoza played in Blackfoot.
Yeah.
Oh.
He played after Twisted, right?
Well, when Twisted ended for a while.
Yeah.
He joined Mountain. He joined Leslie West. And he played with Blackfoot. And toured with Blackfoot. So, yeah. And Joe Franco played with Leslie West. He was our 7th drummer.
Yeah.
Loved the suckers.
Yeah, you called him
Joey 7.
Joy 7 Franco, yeah. Jay, what do you think about the music industry today? Is there industry of recording, of releasing music, Spotify or digital, or are you old school into vinyl and CDs? Or
I mean, I'm. If you look at my system here, I mean, I listen to everything. I stream. I'll stream. I have no problem with streaming. It's a tough business to get into now because there's really no record labels anymore. So it's every man for himself, and it's hard. Like the good news is anybody can make a record, and the bad news is anybody can make a record. So if anyone can make a record, then there's a million records out there. And so I don't know what it's like. You know, I get asked my advice all the time. I guess advice. And I always say, why are you asking me? Why is a 20-year-old kid asking me about the business? Because my business, what I saw and what a 20-year-old is experiencing today is two very different things. And he'll say, the musician will say, yeah, but look at you, man, you got all these platinum records on. I go, yeah, but it's a different world. I said, when I was 20 years old, if I asked a 70-year-old musician for advice, you know, in 1972, if I asked a 70-year-old professional musician for advice, which, by the way, there's a lot of them in my neighborhood, so I could have easily asked any of them for advice, they would have said to me, I was born in 1902, and my first band was in 1921. And the world of my life in 1921 and your life wearing a woman's clothing playing through Marshall amplifiers in 1972 is not the same world that I came out of. So I don't know what to tell you. So what I say to young artists is look around you. And if you're trying to figure out how to get in, look at the bands who you like that are your age and emulate what they're doing and use that, because that's what Twisted did. You know, in the beginning, we just like copied bands that were our age, that were in the clubs, that were successful, and we said we got to become successful like them. How did they become successful? We copied it for a while until we were able to make our own road, our own pathway. But you know, that's what you do. You look around you and see what people are doing and figure, well, I want to, you know, how come they're making money? I'm not making money. Well, if they're making money and you're not making money, find out why they're making money. Yeah. And then copy that for a while until you just establish enough of a beachhead. I mean, I just say it's not rocket science. You know, this is common sense marketing. Yeah. It's common sense. Either you have common sense and wisdom or you don't.
I just heard that the guy from Spotify pissed everyone off by calling the music content. You gotta be making content every month for you to be, you know.
God forbid he calls it what it is. Oh, what a tragedy. It is. It's product. You call it content, product, it's all the same shit. You think the record labels didn't call it product? Of course they did. What product you got? They said, we have the Beatles. You know, it's not product. Of course it's fucking product. It's all product. I mean, at the end of the day, you're selling something. You're selling a product. Yeah. Whether it's shoes, it's music, art, I don't care what it is. Is your product selling? Yes or no? You know, so whether he's calling it content, if you're giving him shit for it, you know, don't waste your time giving him shit. Just come up with new product and content and be successful. Shut the fuck up already. It's like blah, blah, blah.
I think people were pissed off because it takes away from the art, you know.
Yeah, but do you think the record company president felt any other way, that we had the dignity?
No.
They want to sell shit.
Yeah.
Listen, Ahmet Erdogan, the chairman of Atlantic Records, one day I said to him, how did you become successful? You started out with John Coltrane, you know, and Sonny Rollins and this heavy jazz stuff, and then somehow it morphed into Aretha Franklin and soul stuff, and then it morphed into like Led Zeppelin, and then it morphed into Crosby, Stills and Nash, and then it morphed into AC/DC. And I said, How did that happen? And he said to me, if I had a record label for just the artists I love, I'd be broke.
Yeah.
I had to hire people who heard this stuff that I don't hear. Okay? So a 70-year-old is not hearing the same thing that a 20-year-old is hearing. So if I was going to start a record label, I'd hire some 20-year-old kids and go, tell me what's going on, because I'm not relating to it right now. That's if I was going to do that, which I'm not going to do. But the point is that, so what? What's the big deal? If it's always look, it's called a music business because it's music and it's business.
Yeah.
That's why it's called the music business. Most artists don't want to know about the business. The fact is that it's a business, and it's a viable business, and you have to learn how to understand that business and take advantage of that business. And because of my past history, you know, as like a drug dealer, as I describe in my book, I was always making money. So I know how to make money, you know, like you either know how to make money or you don't. I'm not starving to fucking death in a basement of a house eating cat food. That's not my way of making money. Twisted Sister started working immediately. When I joined the band, I said to them, how do we make money? I was 20 years old. I had no idea. None. And they said, well, there's this club circuit out there. You can start working right away as long as we play the right songs to get booked. So we played the right songs and got bookings right away. Well, in my interview with Ricky Medlock from Blackfoot, talks the same thing. He went to the same agent we did. The agent said, let me hear what you got. They played. He goes, I can get you work. He got him work right away. Now, once we started working, remember this is 1973. So we're making $300 a night, 6 nights a week, right? Or $150, $200 a night. You're making $1,200 a week for a group. But back in 1973, your house rental was $300 a week. Gas was 29 cents a gallon. Everything was proportional. You could play and you can make your money and you could pay everybody a salary and you could then spend your off days writing songs and hopefully try to get a record deal. This was how it all happened. This is how it began. We were making $150 a night, then $300 a night, then $500 a night, then $1,000 a night over the years, then $1,500 a night, then $2,000 a night, then $3,000 a night, then $5,000 a night. Before you know it, we're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. But we're taking the money and we're putting it back into the business. Yeah. Bigger show, bigger truck, bigger gear, more demos, advertising. We spent a fortune. We put the money back into the business because we always knew we had to get out of this club scene. The club scene was unlike any club scene in the world. It does not exist today. All right? The club scene, the drinking age was 18. Drinking age is 18. 15-year-old kids with fake proof can work. So that's what they did. They got in, and the clubs held not 500 people. This is clubs, folks. This is clubs. Cover bars held up to 5,000 people.
Whoa.
PA systems. Everybody, all the bands are making money. That's just the scene we came from.
Yeah.
Very, very different today.
You by the end of the club days, you had more money than on the beginning of recording your albums.
Oh, way more. But we financed our first tour with that money, because we had no tour support, you know. Yeah. So we were able to, we always put the money back into the band. Nobody walked away with money. Everybody put the money. We all dedicated ourselves to making the band successful. Yeah. That's another thing too, you know. Do you have that dedication? And we slogged it out for years. It's all in the book. It's all in the book. And we killed ourselves for years. I
love the story when you made the great money with Stay Hungry or You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, when you bought a car just like Elvis.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I had my moments.
Yeah, but love that. That's incredible.
We all had our moments.
Okay, JJ, we should finish up, and I'm so immensely grateful for you accepting my offer to do the podcast episode. Thank you very much from one SMF here.
Thank you. And just remind everybody, my book, Twisted Business, you can buy it on Amazon. Listen to my podcast, The JJ French Connection, on Spotify. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple. It's on a million different portals. You can get get that. If you want to book me, contact me at AskJJTS. It's AskJJJayJayTS @gmail.com. And listen, my podcast is so much fun, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. And I appreciate your time, and I appreciate being on your show. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm putting all the links down below of everything you said, of the show and everything, So thank you, Jay. I hope to meet you again someday because I met you already twice, you know.
Great. Well, you know, who knows? May happen again one day. A live show, or if I come to you're still in Macedonia, yes?
Yeah. Here, yeah.
You know, really quick. In 1971, I went to Europe with my best friend who was Yugoslavian. And so we traveled through Europe together. Yeah. And the only reason why he managed to go with me because he talked his parents into believing he was going to go to Yugoslavia to visit his relatives.
Whoa.
And he went for a week, and then he joined me in Amsterdam, and we spent the next summer of 71 just stoned every day. Every day. And by the way, as you know in my book, I stopped getting high before the band ever started.
Yeah.
So me, D, Mark, never drank, never smoked, never partied, ever. And that's contrary to what most people think.
I know that.
I can be 72 years old and not look like Keith Richards, I guess.
Yep,
right?
yeah.
All right, man.
Thank you for everything, man. Thank you.
Thank you for your support. You take care.
Always. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.